Shavua Tov, good afternoon. It's a new week. It's the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. With me, Raylene Marks, your host, bringing you those top stories every Monday to Thursday as we meet right here, either on our Facebook page at Lottel's site or on our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at those top stories making headlines, and we begin with an escalation in the south as Israel's southern citizens have faced at least 40 rockets fired from the Gaza Strip into southern communities that are on the periphery of the Gaza envelope, reaching as far as the port city of Ashkelon. This started on Friday night when at least 36 projectiles were fired by terrorists in the Gaza Strip into southern Israel, sending tens of thousands of Israelis scrambling for safety. This continued till about 6:30 on Saturday morning. And although there was quiet during the day, rocketing continued both on Saturday night and last night. Last night, at least 4 people were lightly injured while trying to run for shelter. In response, the IAF have struck targets. However, the IDF have warned of a major retaliation should these rocket attacks continue. In the meantime, Israel has closed off the fishing area around Gaza, and Hamas have warned Israel of dire consequences if they do not open up the fishing area. Israel's Ramatkal, the IDF Chief of Staff Aviv Kochavi, was scheduled to visit Washington this week but has cancelled that trip because of the escalation in the south of Israel. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of people took to the streets from Tel Aviv to Paris, from London to Miami, from Brussels to Rome to call for justice for Sarah Halimi. Last week, we brought you the story of Sarah Halimi, who was an observant Orthodox Jewish woman who was killed by her neighbor in Paris. He saw a menorah, a Jewish symbol, in her home and came into her apartment one day, beat and tortured her and screamed Allahu Akbar as he threw her off her balcony, killing her instantly. Her killer was due to stand trial. However, the French High Court decided that because he was allegedly high at the time, he did not have to stand trial. This has been met with outrage from the Jewish communities in France and all around the world, and including many allies who are appalled that there is no justice for this kind of murder. Tens of thousands of Jews, including their allies and organizations like Muslims Against Anti-Semitism, who protested in London yesterday, took to the streets to demand justice for Sarah Halimi. Meanwhile, France's President Emmanuel Macron has weighed in on this, calling for reforms within the justice system in France and saying that he lends his support and solidarity to the Jewish community, and that if we are talking about fighting anti-Semitism, we have to do it by showing concrete efforts to do so. Meanwhile, in an effort to try and calm escalating tensions and violent protests in Jerusalem, police have allowed crowds to gather at the Damascus Gate in the Old City. Jerusalem has been rocked by a spate of violent clashes between Palestinians in East Jerusalem, police, and the far-right extremist group called Lahava, who are a Jewish extremist group. Members of both the Palestinian community and Lahava have been intimidating citizens on both sides, and police have failed to try and bring calm to these violent protesters. At least 20 police were injured last week trying to bring calm. And government officials have appealed for calm as well as the police, and we really condemn extremist violence on both sides and hope that sanity and serenity will prevail soon. These are your top stories making headlines right here in Israel. Don't forget to join us on our website for some provocative, interesting, and in-depth articles. The latest is from advocate Craig Snoyman, who writes about the Sarah Halimi case. He gives the advocates perspective. You will see that up on our website pretty soon, as well as on our Facebook page. While you're there, give us a like or a follow, and don't forget to share our content. It really is appreciated when you do. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Israel Brief by clicking on that red subscribe button. And don't forget, you can interact with us on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. And while you're at it, invite all your friends to do the same. Let's grow our Lay of the Land and the Israel Brief community. So with those top stories today, I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, and we'll speak again tomorrow.